All right, welcome to another edition of the Extra Point Podcast. My name is Mark Adams, and I'm here today with Chiles head football coach of the Timberwolves, Coach BIll Ragans. Coach, man, thank you for taking out time of your busy schedule to join us and talk some Timberwolves football. I'm going to go ahead and kind of see if I can lead off with how the summer has been going and that whole off-season transition from the end of last year into spring, and just let me know about some of the things that you guys have been working on out at Chiles High School.
Well, I mean, we got a bunch of kids out there, and I mentioned to you before the show, we have to develop kids, and we got a bunch of them out there very excited about the numbers and trying to continue to grow our program, headed in the right direction. And, you know, football for me is a passion, but it changes kids' lives. So I'm excited about having a lot of kids in the program because of the great things that football and team sports in general can do in a kid's life. You know, it's irreplaceable. I mean, you can't get it in the classroom or anywhere. The team sports environment to me is vitally important to help young men, kids become young men.
Now, Coach, we've been knowing you for a minute. Just I think one of the interesting things about it is that you just kind of made your home here in your coaching career here in the Big Bend area. You've got so much of a pedigree just being at different schools, both large and small. What makes Chiles a good stop for you right now on your coaching journey?
There's kids there that need coaching and need loving on, man. I just enjoy the coaching part of it. Being around the kids, it keeps me young. I love what I'm doing. And, at the end of the day, that's the biggest point for me. You know, being around Tallahassee, my wife and I have made Tallahassee our home, and we love the people here and trying to help some, friends raise kids, new friends, helping them. It's a constant challenge, but I love that part of it.
I always appreciate when the coach talks about because I feel like we get so many of the same answers when we talk about why a coach wants to coach or what got him into coaching, but very rarely do we talk about what keeps you still coaching, because there's so much of the landscape has changed. What do you think has been the biggest thing that's been what's been the biggest kind of change over the past recent years in the high school football landscape? Because we got a lot of new things that are coming down the pipeline that are just brand new.
Yeah, NIL to start with. I just think, you can't coach kids the way you used to be able to coach them. Coach them hard and love on them, but the whole coaching them hard, we've kind of had to get away from that as a profession, because there's so many other things that kids can do these days. You got to keep them interested in what you're doing and keep them, make football fun. And it's been a challenge for me. I was coached one way my whole career as a player, and even started my coaching career, under some really tough guys that, loved on you, but in the same breath, they were tough football coaches, and they got the best out of me. So I still want to do that same thing for this generation of athletes, but you can't coach the way we used to coach, and the way you were coached. The society won't allow it. And like I said, there's so many other things that kids can do other than football, other sports, other activities. Sit around on their phone. A lot of them just sit around and do nothing. But
I find that to be like kind of the biggest. I don't know if I'd have made it through high school with a cell phone. It's too much. I have to. There are times when my wife will come over and she'll just grab it out of my hands. She'll be like, "Put it down, put it down."
You're a sharp guy. You'd have made it through, Mark. Now, you would have had to worry about a guy like me making it through. I would have struggled.
Yeah, it was so crazy. I was talking with Coach Cruz. He coached me at Guybee, and I was just like, man, it's so wild to see how because football season happens in a vacuum. It's a short period of time, but so much goes on. And I'm just amazed at how you can get kids to focus and pay attention, when there's so many distractions. Like you just
Absolutely.
got the hype train going in one ear, you got another friend talking over here, and it's just like then you got the cell phone in front of them. So I find that to be the real job nowadays,
Yes,
as opposed to teaching
absolutely.
X's and O's.
Absolutely.
What do you think? And this is really more so just given the landscape. What do you think is the most vital thing now that a player needs in order to be successful with everything that's going on around in their universe?
I mean, they need to be encouraged for sure. I mean, there's good ways and bad ways. You can be a encourager or a discourager as a teammate. You can be the same way as a coach. That again that was a challenge for me when I was a young coach. All I wanted to do is coach them hard, and then you have to find a way to pat them on the back and make sure that they're. But it's a lot easier if you just are positive with them. I think that's one thing that they've got to have, because if they're not enjoying what they're doing, they'll find something different to do. I mean, there's so many other distractions that can get kids away from what the real, purpose is out in football.
Right. Do you steal any of the philosophies from Mickey and Bobby from your Florida State days?
Do you think? I literally I rolled in the house today late from a meeting with one of my coaches, and we were talking X's and O's, and I mentioned that, hey, I sat in with Mickey Andrews and Chuck Amato and Wally Burnham and Jim Gladden on the defensive side of the ball. And you don't even have to say anything in those meetings. Those guys, you just sit and listen. And I wish kids were more like that. They don't want to listen. You can learn as much just by listening than out there doing it a lot of times if you'll pay attention. But I was very fortunate as a young coach, learning from some of the best in the business, to be honest, and the best head coach probably to ever walk the sideline, in my opinion.
In terms of lives changed, I've talked to a lot of people. I talked to Collar down in Swanee. I talked to Boucher. I've talked to I've even had a chance to talk to Mark Rick. They firmly believe that there's nobody who's altered more lives than Bobby did, and I think it had a lot to do with just how he went about things. Time seems to be, kind of passing along and everything as we get into this modern age of football. What do you think are some of the things that should never change about high school football?
And I mean, I hate to say it, NIL trying to put money in kids' pockets that are playing. There's plenty of time for that. I don't even know if it's necessary in college. There's something that needs to happen to help kids along in college that are away from home, that may actually need money and stuff like that. But in high school, I don't know if it's necessary. I think you're taking their focus away from what they really should be doing, and that's getting an education and being kids, playing every sport. It's another big selling point of mine. I want our athletes to play multiple sports,
Yeah,
and be involved in everything, because you only get to do it once. Get out there and put yourself out there and see what you can do. You never know. I quit football as a ninth grader. I was a big baseball guy and didn't realize, you'd never know where you're going to end up. 4 years later, I'm signing at FSU, but that was just a stroke of luck for me, because, like I said, I tried to quit when I was ninth grader. I thought I was a baseball guy, which I was pretty good, but that's neither here nor there.
Oh yeah, that's one of the sobering things I found out. I had a coach that told me, he said, "Mark, it's not that you're not good. I just got a couple other guys that's better than you." So it happens like that. I just know that it steered me towards football, because I realized I can use my talents, my body in other areas and still be a decent athlete. So much now what I see today is that we're kind of, pushing kids and funneling them into one area. And I had a barbershop conversation with a couple of guys, and we were talking about travel ball and how it's so expensive, and it might be robbing some opportunities to play and develop in other areas.
Absolutely.
And I said to myself, I said, I pulled up Tracy McGrady because my first introduction to Tracy McGrady was not basketball. He was a pitcher. And
Really?
if you can imagine, 6'7" guy coming off the mound, like that. And it's just nobody knew that all of these guys, these famous guys, played other sports. They pulled up, we pulled up Patrick Mahomes' picture in high school. He played 3 sports: baseball, and he was a not only was he a football guy, he was a basketball guy too. So it just seems like some of our superstars have so much talent.
Yeah,
Because
his dad was an
developed in
MLB
other
guy,
areas.
wasn't he? Wasn't Mahomes' dad a Major League Baseball player?
Yeah, he was a Major League Baseball player. So it's not surprising that the genetics were there. It's just baseball and other sports and basketball too, they challenge you mentally in ways that football might not be able to.
And you're developing other skills that,
exactly.
And you're not using the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. You're developing other skills, and it's getting you away from that one sport that's probably at times mentally draining. I know as tough as football is, our kids need a chance to get away from it. Yeah. I want them to go and play basketball and lacrosse or baseball or whatever, all those things. I want them to go and do that, to give them, because they only get to be a kid once.
Right.
So
I appreciate coaches that push you into the weight room or onto the track because I was coming up. If you weren't playing football, hey, what y'all doing? Oh, we finna go run. Oh, okay, well, I guess we're gonna go run. So it made the competitive spirit. I could channel it into a different area, and I think that's one of the things that might be missing. You can totally compete in a different area, but do you find yourself pushing kids that might be idle when it's not football season to go and compete in a different sport?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. There are so many like O linemen and D linemen, the wrestling that, going in the wrestling room and push and pull and leverage and balance, coordination, all those things that you get in wrestling. Those are so good for those linemen. And the hand-eye coordination and in baseball, and then just the athleticism from basketball. And it keeps some of them moving around too that need to be staying in shape. They, might be a little bit on the edge of getting out of shape, and they don't need to, weight they don't need, that kind of stuff too. So keeping them active is a big thing to me.
Yeah, I find that a lot of what I see now is the kids that, just even in terms of just basic balance. Can you balance yourself? So many other sports teach that, especially wrestling. Yeah. I have a huge respect for wrestling. Now, when I saw how much they ran, I was like, no thanks. All right, Coach, let's go ahead and jump into some X's and O's. Who are you excited about that's coming back from last season's team?
Well, I'm very excited about my quarterback, and he's just a dynamic player that the more we get into summer and the things we're going to be able to take advantage of his skill set, running the ball, throwing the ball. We're developing some other wide receivers that give us a few more weapons out on the edges, and we'll get our big tight end back. That, really he's more of a flex tight end. He's a big athletic kid. He's state champion discus thrower. He's a tremendous athlete that, somebody, he loves track and field. Somebody will get a great tight end if they can get him football and track. He's a tremendous athlete, Jake Atwood. Yeah. He is, he's been gonna, I think, jump on the scene this year. And Taylor, our quarterback, Jacobs, is going to have a big year. Got a couple of linebackers that I'm anxious to see how they respond this year. We're having to move a few guys around here or there to fill some holes on defense. We were pretty sporty defensively last year, and we got a bunch back, but we lost some really good players as well. So yeah, we got a few holes to fill, and we're trying to move around some starters. I try to get 3 safeties to play 2 positions, 3 corners for the 2 positions, 4 linebackers for the 3 positions, and then 5 or 6 D linemen. But, when you lose them, you lose your depth too. We lost a couple D linemen, lost a safety, we lost well, we didn't lose a corner, but I'm going to have to move my corner probably to the nickel outside linebacker. I don't know what we're going to do there, but I'm excited just seeing where we're going to fit people, how the defense is going to evolve and what we'll turn into. Because, like I said, we'll have a few guys in different spots, but all of them have a lot of game experience, which I'm very excited about.
Yeah, it seems like, that's just kind of the natural evolution of what happens when you graduate a lot of experienced guys. Last season was, really just, it was a head turner for a lot of people in the area because it allowed you guys to really kind of, if and I'm trying to remember the game, but I saw a couple of situational things where I saw you guys really fight through and really were one of the more resilient teams in the area. Just, I tried to kind of tell some people who were outside the area, I was like, Chiles is not a pushover. They were, really trying to kind of position themselves as one of the more scrappier teams. Do you feel like that mentality of being able to kind of upset some people and kind of put some teams on notice is kind of carried over into this season?
I hope so. And I've Shelton Cruz and some of those guys that were coaches around the area when I was at Leon, the head guy Leon, used to say, that was kind of, I wanted our team to be a tough football team, and we're pretty scrappy on defense, and that's what I want to be a trademark of our program is we're going to be scrappy and play hard, the whole game and not give up. We had 5 shutouts, should have had 6, to be honest.
Yeah, there was a lot of what I saw on defense. I was extremely impressed. And I think it kind of put a lot of other teams kind of threw them off guard a little bit because I don't think a lot of people knew what you guys had. So now coming into this season, I think there's a lot of consideration that's going to be taken for you guys. But more importantly, looking at the offensive weapons you were talking about, I can't say I'm familiar with. Oh, I'm sorry, are we breaking up again?
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
A little bit.
All right, let me start again. All right, let's try it again.
All right.
Yeah, Coach, you got weapons. I don't know if I'm familiar with your quarterback's dad. I don't think I've heard of him.
Come on.
But yeah, you've got some familiar faces on your coaching staff. You've got a lot of new energy. What does the JV program look like? Because we always talk about varsity, but sometimes when you look at the future of your program, you really got to dig deep and look at what the future is coming into, especially for those 9th and 10th graders.
Yeah, I try. You talk about coaches. I want to put good people in front of them, and we can all sit down as veteran coaches and explain X's and O's and teach them everything they need to know about football. But I want them to be good people, and we got some really good guys that are going to be working with our young kids, and we try to do a lot of our stuff together anyway. I want. We do all our individual work as a complete program. Every defensive back in the program does the same drills every day with the same, we're all together. And I think that at least they're getting some of the basic stuff that they need to continue to grow and be competitive and develop as players every day. They're learning those kinds of things. And then we break up and they do their own little 7-on-7 and team time. And, because we have our own scout guys on the varsity too. So, but I think it's all, it's about putting good people in front of them and give them just enough of our offense that they'll be familiar when they do come up. And then same with the defense. We're trying to, when I grew up, Mark, the benchmark around Live Oak was Valdosta High.
Yeah.
And everybody talked about in Valdosta that from their middle school all the way through the high school, everybody was running the same system.
Yeah.
And we're running the same system. We're running a lot of the similar plays, same plays on offense on our JV, and very similar schemes on defense on JV. because I want them to be ready when we do need them on varsity. They at least have an understanding of what they have to do when they get there. So
Right.
I'm and like I said, you can put anybody with some passion for kids that enjoys working with kids. You can tell an adult with some passion and love for children how to coach, and or what to coach, and they can get it done. I mean, I could. I mean, you go out there and with any of our programs, I think, and the kids are going to respond to good coaching, whether they're great players or not. They'll get out there and give you everything they got. If they know how much you care, they don't care how much you know until they know how much you care.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, I try to put good people in front of our kids, and we go from there, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Coach, let me ask you about we're in a landscape now where recruiting is at the high school level going straight to one of these big time colleges is down. What do you tell kids now about recruiting and just how to play that game differently so they can put themselves in the best position to be successful as a college athlete?
Well, we're trying to do everything we can from a school and our booster program to put our kids out on social media and try to put things out that'll help them get noticed. Anytime that they're at a camp, we try to get that information or any clips we can and put it on the social media and highlight each kid, the best we can. And like I said, it is hard now. The way recruiting is, unless you're just a big 4 or 5 star, it's hard to get them recruited. So I mean, we're trying to attack the mega camps where there's several coaches at one place and can get you an opportunity to be in front of a bunch of different coaches, not just 1 or 2 coaches. I think that's kind of the trend that I'm seeing, that a lot of the kids, I feel like are getting more or better exposure when they're going to these big camps. But you got to make sure you don't want to go to a camp and you only people that are looking at you are one team. I
Right.
think the mega camp where they got 15, 20 different colleges, and our kids, we got to be selective on the ones we go to too. We
Mm-hmm.
want to try to hit the Division 2, Division 3 NAIA, because I think that's the clientele that we're offering. We
Yeah.
don't have the big time talent right now. We have some that are getting recruited big time, but I think as a whole, our program was a little more geared toward a Division 2 type atmosphere, and then D2, D3, and AIA, which we have plenty of kids that make good enough grades and are good enough players that they're going to get an opportunity to play at the next level.
Yeah, I talked with John Cooper down at Franklin County. I think he's doing a great job, trying to wake people up to the NAIA schools, Division 3 and Division 2s. There's still a lot of opportunities there because the transfer portal just at the T1 level is just kind of tearing things up right now.
Yeah.
Coach, I'm gonna ask you. About something that's near and dear to your heart. What's your take on last year's college football playoff selection? Just
I think it was hard, but and I can see where they were coming from, us losing our quarterback. But when you beat everybody that you play and win your conference, and that's still not good enough. I don't know, especially being a Power 5 conference. I don't know how we got left out. And then to have to go down and try to play another national power with, a third of your defense gone and your quarterback and some of your linemen and skill guys are not playing, they opt out. I'm not a fan of the opt out deal. I don't know. I feel like if you're really going to sell, oh, I'm a team guy, be a team guy all year. I understand
Yeah,
that.
it's a little bit. It felt like it was the cheapest Orange Bowl I'd ever seen. They made the Orange Bowl look like some kind of auxiliary, kind of like these joint practices they have now, where two teams kind of. I felt I felt like FSU could have shown up in their practice jerseys and given some younger guys some reps. And same with Georgia, and even Kirby spoke out about it. And just I can't imagine that the Orange Bowl committee was happy about that.
Yeah, it's probably the first time a couple of those kids' game jerseys actually got used, to be honest. There were some really young guys that got action in the game for FSU, which is, if we would have been at full strength, even with a backup, even with Rodemaker, I think it would have been a competitive game if we would have had all our kids.
Yeah, you got to wonder if you had given him it was almost a month. It was 3.5. It was just under 3 weeks, or a little over 3 weeks that he would have had to kind of get acclimated. So it's a lot of what ifs that got left on the table, and I know that really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I was one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I went down there. My daughter cheers, like I said, so I'm pretty supportive. I'm gonna support them one way or the other. It doesn't matter to me.